Breaking news tonight. Police desperately searching for a beautiful little 3-year-old Florida girl, Caylee, after her grandparents report her missing. Little Caylee now not seen for 14 long weeks, last seen with her mother. So why didn't Mommy call police? Bombshell tonight. In the last hours, over 600 pages of stunning documents released. Details, interviews, witness statements, hundreds of Mom Casey's obsessive text messages, all from inside the police investigation released. And in black and white, Casey Anthony spins yet another story, claiming she left her 2-year-old girl willingly with a nanny for a month to go job hunting in Tampa, and found abandoned in the car, left behind, little Caylee's favorite baby doll, a doll she refused to go without day or night. And highly probative, when Mom Casey left home, she took her own things. Everything for her, but nothing. No shoes, no PJs, no clothing, no toys, no dolls, nothing taken to provide for little Caylee. Why? We learn Mom Casey's plans to party hardy nearly every night, out for expensive manicures, her bizarre obsession with men, and blaming the smell of human decomposition in her car on a dead animal. That's right. Mom Casey Anthony acknowledges decomposition in her car and blames a squirrel. All this after little Caylee goes missing. Investigators confirming forensic evidence of human decomposition and huge amounts of the chemical solution chloroform in Mom Casey's car trunk. We learned the grandparents, George and Cindy Anthony, were terrified to open the car trunk, afraid they'd find their granddaughter dead. Casey Anthony complaining nonstop. Little Caylee slows down her social life, and she admits she's an unfit mom. Tonight, where is Caylee?
Shocking information revealed. Inside nearly 600 pages of documents. Casey Anthony's friend Amy Huizinga tells detectives Casey Anthony told her it smelled like something died in Casey's car. But Anthony eventually went on to say there was definitely a part of an animal plastered to the frame inside the car. According to Amy Huizinga, before George and Cindy Anthony opened Casey's impounded car, they were terrified that Casey or Caylee would be inside the trunk.
I'm Nancy Grace. I want to thank you for being with us. Breaking news tonight in the desperate search for a beautiful 3-year-old Florida girl, Caylee. In the last hours, 600 pages of bombshell documents from inside the police investigation released.
New details in the Caylee Anthony case. Florida prosecutors are releasing nearly 600 pages of new documents, including transcripts of interviews, text messages, and phone records.
Everyone who was interviewed talks about the smell from that car. Immediately, Casey's mom, Cindy, thought it smelled like death.
There's something wrong. I found my daughter's car today, and it smells like there's been a dead body in the damn car.
She was worried that perhaps something had happened to Caylee or Casey, and her friends, before the car was abandoned, they all wondered about the smell, and she explained that it was a dead animal.
Maybe my daughter ran over something.
Tony Lazaro, the boyfriend that Casey had when all of this was going on, he said that in July, early July, she started having all these nightmares, and she would just wake up in the cold sweats, and he would ask her, you know, what's wrong? What's this all about? And she would say things like she was worried about their relationship.
What did the person do that you need arrested? My daughter. For what? For stealing an auto and stealing money.
Cindy Anthony, the day when she went over to confront Casey, also told Tony that, hey, I hope you're rich, because she's probably going to just, you know, rob you dry here.
Does Tony have anything to do with Caylee?
No, Tony has nothing to do with Caylee.
Oh, so why do you want to talk to him?
Because he's my boyfriend, and I want to actually try to sit and talk to him because I didn't get a chance to talk to him earlier because I got arrested on a whim today because they're blaming me for stuff that I never would do, that I didn't do.
Straight out to Mark Williams with WNDB. Mark, what's the latest?
Nancy, a bombshell this afternoon. The state attorney's office here in Orlando releasing 600 pages of documents. Those documents including interviews with boyfriends and good friends of Casey Anthony. They shed light and they show the emotion and the stability of that 22-year-old Casey Anthony. One of the things, of course, the smell coming from the car. She told her friend Amy Huizinga that she thought her dad borrowed her car. He ran over a squirrel and basically the squirrels died under there. Later telling Amy that she found the bodies of the squirrels plastered to the frame.
Well, according to neighbor Brittany Shriver, no one has used that car in about a year and a half other than Mom Casey Anthony. Everybody, in the last hours, this stack of police documents from inside the police investigation have been released. This stack has been released by the state's attorney's office, and it is a bombshell, a treasure trove for prosecutors. It details the fact that Mom Casey Anthony acknowledges the smell of death in her own car. This isn't something her grandmother, Cindy Anthony, dreamed up. She herself says it and blames it basically on her father running over a dead animal. Not only that, Mark Williams, she comes up with a whole new story as to what happened to little Caylee.
She does. As a matter of fact, she says she was going to go to Tampa to search for a job for a month, and that Caylee was headed off to the babysitter. But the big thing is the fact that Cindy Anthony went into her room, found things missing from Casey's articles that she always had, but there was nothing taken for little Caylee. And if you're going to go to a babysitter, you usually pack a pretty big bag, especially if you're going to be away for a month, Nancy.
To Kathy Bellich joining us tonight with CNN affiliate WFTV. She's there in Orlando. Kathy, I find it highly probative, the items found left behind inside Mom Casey's car.
Yes, apparently a baby doll that Caylee would go nowhere with, a car seat. She, no indication that there was any plan, any legitimate plan to leave Caylee in someone's care. Also about the smell of that car, Casey told her brother that that smell first showed up in that car June 5th, which was their mother's birthday. And Lee didn't believe it because he said she would never drive around in that car for that long with that smell, nor would she put Caylee in that car with that smell. He also said that their father, George, was meticulous about keeping that car clean. So she has told, obviously, numerous stories about that smell, but also that it started back on June 5th, which doesn't seem to make sense either.
Very disturbing. Mark Williams with WNDB is that the grandparents, when they go to finally get the car, they find out from the towing service, I believe the car is still sitting there outside an Amscot. They go to get it, and the stench is so overwhelming. They don't have the key to get in. They are terrified, according to these documents, that their granddaughter or daughter was dead in the trunk.
That's correct. And the big thing is the towing company didn't have the key, so George and Cindy Anthony went down there and they opened up the trunk, and this odor just came out of the back. And one of the things that the guys at the towing yard said is just a couple of days before they had to clean up a car that an individual took his life in, so they knew the smell of death as well. So, I mean, that stench is just overpowering.
You know, the fact that she basically acknowledges it, number one, the smell of decomposition, blames it on her father running over an animal, leaving the favorite baby doll behind, the doll that little Caylee would go nowhere without. Interesting, back to you, Kathy Bellich, the fact that when Mom Casey leaves her home, the grandparents' home, her parents, she takes her belongings, but leaves everything belonging to Caylee behind.
That's right. That seems to be an indication she was not planning to take a trip with Caylee anywhere, leaving the important articles and, of course, as we said, Caylee's favorite baby doll behind. And she's told so many different stories about what she was planning to do during that month. This is just one more story that doesn't make sense.
We are taking your calls live. Let's unleash the lawyers. Joining me tonight in our Manhattan studios, veteran prosecutor Eleanor Dixon. Her specialty, crimes on children. Out of Atlanta, defense attorney Raymond Giudice. Out of New York, high-profile lawyer Richard Herman. Eleanor, weigh in.
Well, I think they probably released some of these documents to show the evidence that is mounted up against Casey Anthony, as well as to maybe put some pressure on her. At some point, maybe she'll have to explain these things to the public.
Ray?
Well, let me just say this. I haven't gone through all 600 pages of alleged bombshells and treasure troves, but 600 pages hasn't produced a one-page indictment for homicide yet.
I don't know about that, Richard Herman. Agree or disagree?
I completely agree with Ray. If they had it, Nancy, I believe the DNA is degraded. This 600 pages are meaningless. That if they had the DNA, they would have indicted her.
Let me get this straight, Herman. The fact that she's made up another story about voluntarily giving Kelly away for a month to go job hunting.
That goes to her mental state. That's going to be the defense, Nancy.